The following is a demonstration of the Together360 app, the individual project submission for Stephen Campbell. When you click on the link provided in the user manual, it will bring you to the Smart App Launcher page with various fields already filled out, and it's set to launch from the patient portal. To get started, we're going to click the Launch App button and click Login to log in the patient. You'll be brought to the home page for the application, and because this is a public file server, you may notice when you first start that the screen is blank, meaning that the patient information has been refreshed since it was last populated. In order to start the demonstration, we want to populate the data in order to make sure that the patient has appropriate care plans and medications. So we're going to click on the Prep Patient button in the top right. And then we'll click the Prep Patient button. As you can see, it starts deleting the prior patient data. It does have a note that at the end of the deletions, it needs to check and validate that all of the appropriate records are deleted, and this can take upwards of a minute. It will continue through creating the different care plan, medication request, medication statement, and observation records. And again, that may take another minute to process in order to both complete the commit to the file server as well as validating that all of those records are able to be searched and are indexed on the file server. I've skipped ahead past the couple of minutes it takes to run the Prep Patient algorithm, and as you can see at the very end, it will enable the Continue Demo button for you to continue with reviewing the application. Now we are brought back to the home page, and as you can see, the various care plan activities and medications have been populated. The care plan activities dynamically populate a list of activities based on the various care plans that are brought over from the file server. As you can see, the diabetes activities has diabetes education, an education quiz, and a daily checklist. The hypertension activities also has a hypertension education and also a blood pressure daily checklist. Let's first start with the diabetes education activity. If we click on that, it will populate a modal pop-up that populates the PDF within it, and the patient can then scroll through, review the various education material, and as it says at the top, they will click Save Changes in order to mark that task as completed. And as you can see, once you mark it completed, it provides a green check mark indicating that that activity is complete. We'll do the same thing for hypertension education, and we'll review the education material and click Save Changes. And again, it marks that as complete. We're going to do the same thing for diabetes education quiz and click that. And this populates something a little bit differently. In this case, we wanted to provide a quiz to ensure that the patient fully understands the diabetes education material before they continue. So let's go ahead and populate the quiz with answers. And I'm going to select a few incorrect answers so that you can see when I click Save Changes, it indicates that questions 2 through 4 are not correct. So this may prompt the patient to go back to the diabetes education material, re-review it to make sure that they properly understand it. Let's say that the patient has done that, and now they know the correct answers, and I will select those as following. I then click Save Changes. It immediately shows a score of 100, and it goes back to the main screen. And as you can see, the diabetes education quiz has been marked as complete, and the status of that care plan activity on the file server is also marked complete. Now let's look at the daily checklist items that are available. If we start with the blood pressure daily checklist, you'll see that it pops up a modal pop-up that provides the ability for the patient to record a systolic and diastolic pressure, and also see various graphs of the systolic and diastolic pressures over time that they have recorded. In this case, we're going to indicate that the patient had a fairly high blood pressure today. and click Save Changes. And you'll see a pop-up indicating that the information is being saved to the file server. Now, since this is a public file server and it needs time in order for the new observation to also index properly in order to be able to be retrieved via a search, this can take upwards of a minute to complete, so I've indicated that as such. The application is looping in the background, checking that the observation has been completed every 2 seconds, and once it indicates that it can be searched, it will refresh the home page. And if we go back into the daily checklist, we now see that that new recording of 150 over 110 has been recorded and the graph has been updated. And now let's do the same thing for diabetes daily checklist. If we go in here, it provides an opportunity to mark the blood glucose. And let's say that I had a pretty high blood glucose value after my last meal. And I'm going to go ahead and save that. Again, you're going to see a pop-up indicating that it may take upwards of a minute for this to save completely. Now we've been returned back to the home page, and we can click on the Diabetes Daily Checklist in order to see an updated graph showing that the 185 was populated and is returned now on the graph. Now let's move over to the medication list where you can see various medications that the patient has been prescribed. If you click on the name of the medication, it will pull up an image from the National Library of Medicine if one is available. If an image is not available, then it will show that no image is available. Additionally, there may be instructions under the medication if provided. Now the patient can mark a certain medication as taken for the day by clicking the toggle switch. If they made a mistake and they did not take that one, they can simply untoggle it. In the background, this is updating the medication statement for the patient to indicate that the medication is taken. They can also go back in time if they need to indicate a medication was taken yesterday, for instance, and they forgot to mark them as such. Now, if the patient goes more than 2 days back, it will show that they can only view the status of medications and they're not able to actually mark it as taken. This is because a patient is very unlikely to remember what medications were taken more than 2 days ago. And we can again scroll back to today's date and we can see that it pulled back the most recent documented medications that were taken. Thank you again for viewing the demonstration of the Together360 application.